All right, welcome back to the Unnamed Movie Car Podcast, recording at you live from the highways of America, which means we're talking about the Gumball Rally. This is an interesting one because neither of us had seen this one before,
Right.
which is which is unheard of because we had both seen the Blues Brothers. You at least had some type of knowledge of the Fast and the Furious. I had seen the Fast and the Furious. We had both seen Cannonball Run in parts.
Mm-hmm.
And we had both seen Cars before. So this was a first that we had, neither of us had seen any bit of this movie.
Yes, and I'm sorry.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I'm going to be a little controversial here.
Okay.
I liked it better than Cannonball Run.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. What about you? Okay, so let me hear your let's get our thoughts out before. Well, okay. This is the Gumball Rally, filmed released in 1976, directed by Charles Bale, starring Michael Sarrazin, Norman Burton, and Gary Busey.
Gary Busey,
which I didn't even recognize in the movie because his eyes were equal size in this film. So I don't know what happened between now and 1976, but
I think
man's been through a lot.
I think he was actually in a motorcycle accident.
Oh, that's not funny at all anymore.
Exactly. And that's why I hesitated on that because, yes, I think he was in a motorcycle accident. He's obviously, quote unquote, fine now. So, but no, I think he's all fine. But I guess it was a bad accident.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
I thought he did like crack or drugs or something.
Maybe. We're going to have to check on that one, but I think it was a motorcycle accident.
New segment of the podcast will just be Busey Watch. We're just checking in to make sure his heart's still beating. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this movie?
Wow. Okay, so I was really disappointed.
Really?
I was really disappointed to the point of being angry. I mean, it was like angry that I had spent the time watching this movie not from a car standpoint.
Right.
Okay.
Because they had some hot cars in there.
The cars were pretty darn cool. I mean, they were very, very cool. But from a movie standpoint, I was very disappointed and to the point of being angry at the fact that I was watching this movie. So there's no character development. No.
There's hardly any characters at all.
Right.
I mean, there are characters in the movie.
Yes.
But, like, I couldn't tell you any of their names or any of their backstories.
No.
But you know what? Yeah. For me, it was more enjoyable to watch than Cannonball Run.
That blows my mind because, go ahead.
So, few people know I cannot sit down and watch a movie. I'm very bad at that. I'm very much my mother in that respect.
I love watching movies, but go ahead, yeah.
Totally so, all these movies I usually watch while I'm editing.
Yeah.
So I'll be editing car reviews. Like today I was editing an Audi A7, or S7 actually, sorry, supercharged, or turbocharged one.
Yeah.
I actually found myself completely stopping and editing just to watch the movie.
Really?
More
really
with this movie than I did with Cannonball Run.
Because of the compelling character?
No, definitely not the compelling character arc.
Yeah.
What drew me in more was it was less cringy.
Really?
Than Cannonball. Because Cannonball Run, what really stuck out to me when we watched that a few weeks ago was the James Bond cameo, not cameo.
Right.
And the very obvious nods to Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, yeah.
And it seemed, Cannonball Run seemed cheesier than this movie.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Cannonball Run was more Hollywood-ish, Hollywood type of a movie, more campy, more...
Right.
Yeah.
Farrah Fawcett, getting kidnapped.
Yes.
All that stuff.
Exactly. It was more of a Hollywood type movie. I'll give you that. Yeah, absolutely.
So, in that respect, I actually sort of enjoyed it better. Although, I was trying to think of this. Do you remember a TV show when I was a kid where there was like teams and they were given a topic and they all had to make a short film based off that topic? It was like a game show.
It was they made a movie. They
made a short film. It was like a filmmaker's challenge TV show.
I think it was something like Greenlight or something like that. Or
It sounds familiar.
But it was, yes, I remember.
You know the show I'm talking about.
I do
though.
absolutely.
I
remember
feel
that.
like there was 2 production teams given the exact same plot line, and then these are just the 2 teams' outcomes: was Cannonball Run and the Gumball Rally.
Oh well,
Because
yeah, I mean, it could be. Yeah,
they're very, very similar.
Oh my
Besides
gosh,
the
yes.
subject matter of driving
Very
coast
similar.
to coast,
very similar.
there's stereotypical teams.
Oh my gosh,
There's girls in a European sports car, whether that be a Countach
Yep.
or a 911.
Right, exactly.
Which, funny enough, now those companies are owned by the same people, but back in the day they weren't.
Yeah.
There's, people pretending to be a cop or pretending to be an ambulance.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
There's a lot of similarities there.
Well, and yeah, I mean, yes, there was a lot of. I'll give you that as well. There was a lot of similarities, and that's why I looked up which one was made first. This one Gumball Rally. No, Gumball Rally.
The Gumball Rally, yeah.
The Gumball Rally was made in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
Cannonball Run was made in 1981, 5 years
Right.
later.
I knew that.
Yeah, you did.
Well,
You
yeah, 'cause
did,
I
but
can
I
do
didn't.
math. Yeah.
Well, I'm not so good with that. So here's the thing, though, is that I was thinking, okay, who was first? Like, who came up with it first, and then who was emulating who?
Right.
So the question was, it seems like, okay, Gumball Rally comes out 5 years later. I don't know if it was the same. I don't think it was the same production house that did it. I think it was 2 different studios.
Right.
But Gumball Rally comes out 5 years later. Cannonball Run comes out. Same exact type of movie.
Right.
There's wackiness, as they travel across the United States. I mean, it's almost identical, except that it seems like someone in one of the studios, after doing several lines of coke,
Right.
God
bless the 70s and 80s.
Exactly, in the coke fueled thing, went, oh yeah, we could totally do that better because we're gonna have all these name stars.
Right.
We're gonna put name stars in fancy cars. And
I could see the Gumball Rally
Yeah.
being an unintentional prequel to
yes,
Cannonball Run.
I know. Yeah, that's what I figured you were gonna say. Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I could see someone going, yeah, we could make it with more stars, and we could do it better, and do the same thing.
The other interesting thing that I brought up with the Cannonball Run,
yes.
which the Gumball Rally was like a fictional name given to the Cannonball Run.
Yes.
However, it has now turned into a real rally. There is the Gumball 3000
Really?
because it's 3,000 miles.
And where is that?
Well, it started in Europe,
Okay.
but it's now they have a leg here as well.
All right.
And if you remember the show Jackass,
Yes.
they actually participated in the Gumball Rally. They sort of brought light to that rally because it's all like exotic cars. It's Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys. And they actually did an episode about it in the early 2000s and sort of made it this thing on MTV to the point where I think there was a show about the Gumball Rally. I remember very early YouTube, like 2006, 2007, YouTube was filled with Gumball Rally cars because you'd see all these cars and they'd all get stickered up with gumballs on the side and all that stuff. So it later became a phenomenon. I'm not sure if it has to do with this movie, if this movie started that name or not. But
I don't know. I mean,
But the interesting thing I want to bring up with that is that I just lost my train of thought. Just like that. Isn't that impressive how it can just flip? Oh,
yeah.
So the Gumball Rally was produced
We'll edit that
when
out.
the Cannonball Run was like in its heyday. Because if we talked about it last time, the actual coast-to-coast race became a thing in the mid-'70s.
Okay.
So this movie, if it came out in 76, let's say it was filmed in 75.
Right.
I mean, that's right in the heat of like that's like when they made The Social Network in 2010 when Facebook had only been out for 2, 3, 4 years.
Right.
Now we have such a different perspective on Facebook that they could make a Social Network 2 and 3 and 4.
Right.
Which they really shouldn't, but I think the Social Network is a nearly perfect movie, by the way, but it doesn't have cars in it, so we can't review it.
Totally agree. I mean, there might
I don't
be
know what Mark Zuckerberg drove.
It's all about cars.
Yeah, it's only about cars here. But anyway, so I just wanted to point that out, that I thought it was interesting that this movie was made like right as it was happening. It's not like, because Cannonball Run, I mean, that's 81, so let's say it was filmed in 80.
Right.
That's like, 5-6 years after the fact.
Yeah.
So it was still a hot thing, and Cannonball Running is still sort of a thing. Definitely not as hot as it used to be. But sorry, I keep talking, but I also thought it was interesting that they brought up how much they hated the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Yes.
I didn't realize that was as big of an issue.
Yes. And yes, they actually went through a whole thing about the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit actually being more dangerous and blah, blah, blah. So go ahead.
Oh, I thought you meant in the movie. What?
I'm gonna go back to the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I want you to continue what you were gonna say.
Okay, we'll just go for it, because
no, what I was gonna say is the fact that it's funny because when I was in high school, I had to give a speech, and it had to be a one of those speeches to get
persuasive, yeah,
a persuasive speech, and I was doing it on the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I actually did research on the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit and how actually it's more dangerous than having a higher speed limit.
So that was legitimately a topic of debate for the time.
Yes, it was, definitely. And because I was in high school in the 80s, and that is exactly what we talked about. That was a big topic. So, yes, I did the speech, and because my father was a police officer, everyone thought I was going to be in favor of the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Yeah.
And I knew that, so I switched it for fun and did the opposite and said, 55-mile-an-hour speed limit is trash. It's useless.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And actually, as I did the research, I found out I had great evidence to say that, it's not a good thing. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
So I will get back to the movie, but reviewing cars has been the coolest experience of my entire life,
Yeah.
And so I've driven a lot of 80s cars in my life.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is you can always tell it's an 80s car. You know what I'm going to say?
I know what you're going to say.
Because there's an arrow or there's a red line or there's
huge.
something
or it's big.
or it's huge
pointing
at 55 miles an hour. My RX-7 has it. There's a little arrow that points to 55.
Yep. Thanks, Detroit. Yeah. Yeah. Or car manufacturers, whatever. Yes, you're absolutely right.
No,
that is
American cars in the 80s.
Yep.
And some going into the 90s. The Fox Body Mustang I'm thinking of, I think it's red. 55 is red where all the other digits or numbers are white.
Sounds right, yeah.
It's just so interesting. So I never really knew that 55 mile an hour speed limit was such a big issue that people were pissed about it.
Yep.
But I want to get back to the movie because they do a sort of Fight Club moment 20 years before Fight Club where he's like, we're going to go over the rules. There are no rules.
Right.
Do you remember what he says? About 55 miles an hour. He says,
no.
We're doing the whole race, braking 55 miles an hour, and do you remember what he said?
And not hurting people?
Oh, well, he did say that.
He did say,
but
not to hurt people.
He also said, and no catalytic converters.
Yes. Yes. Yes,
which
that
I
is
thought
true.
was so funny because the early 70s is when we saw the emissions crisis and the real.
Yeah.
That's when I believe it was 71. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But
here.
no, I think you're right. And remember, in Blues Brothers, it's one of the things that Dan Aykroyd's character Elwood says to Jake. He says, and it runs on regular gas.
Right.
It was made before catalytic converters, so it runs great on regular gas.
Right.
So that was a huge deal, catalytic converters.
Because I believe it was maybe it was 73, early 70s.
Yeah.
There came a point where V8s were making 200, 300, 400 horsepower pretty easily.
Okay.
And then they released the new Mustang, the Mustang Mach 2.
Yes.
V8 made like 130 horsepower.
Okay.
It was a huge dip because they had to conform to emission standard. Emission standards were now sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Which was just super interesting. But I thought that was just funny and so dated, where he's like, screw the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit and no catalytic converters.
Exactly.
All right, guy.
I know that was pretty great, and it was completely dated. Again, more drinking and driving. There was drinking and driving.
Not as bad as Cannonball, though.
Not as blatant as Cannonball Run. But
that was the other thing, is like Cannonball was so almost like tongue in cheek of like,
yes,
let's land this plane in the middle of a street.
Yeah, it was like, way over the top
compared to the Gumball Rally.
Yeah,
Cannonball seemed way less probable. Jumping the truck through the railroad crossing.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah, absolutely.
Although one thing I did want to point out that totally took me out of the movie.
What?
If you notice the beginning shots of when they're leaving the garage, like starting the Cannonball, there's not a single car of traffic in downtown New York.
And you've been to New York.
I've been to New York
any time of the day.
times.
Any time of the day or night.
Yeah, there's always at least another car on the road. So it was like so obvious that they blocked off the streets, which obviously they do for movies anyway, but then they put fake cars back in to make it look real.
Right.
So they're not racing around. And what's so funny is you could see everyone like off to the sides in one of the shots.
If you look,
they're all staring at it.
If you all look,
because they want to see the movie getting filmed.
Right, exactly.
That did take me out of the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
And also another moment that I was like, come on, was when the police guys dressed up as the police get pulled over by the police.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're making a movie.
Right.
And I'm like, back then, movie cameras were the size of toasters at least. I mean, movie cameras were the size
they were
of like...
huge.
Yeah, they were
huge.
Toasters are terrible. Terrible.
more like a
analogy.
range, like a refrigerator.
Yeah,
like they were very, very big. Yeah.
So where he's like, the camera's way off over there. It's like, no.
Okay. So one of the things about that I actually went back in the movie to review, because I was like, wait a minute, aren't these guys real cops? They are real cops.
They are?
Yes. If you go back to the beginning of the movie when they introduce the different characters, they are actually in a police car and they are pursuing I was going to say victim, but but they're pursuing a bad guy. Suspect, thank you.
Perp. Yeah.
Yeah, perp. And what happens is you hear them talking to someone, and it's headquarters. So they're not walkie-talkie, but they're on their radio.
Yeah.
They're talking to headquarters. Headquarters says someone left a memo about Gumball. Does that mean anything?
Oh, yeah.
And they're actually cops. So my question is, why didn't they then go, yeah, we're cops, and show and flash the badge and go, we're doing an undercover thing or something and all of that? I know for a fact that when one cop pulls over another cop, it's very customary, or at least it was back in the day, to flash your badge, and there was no word spoken. You went. That was it. Yeah. You flashed your badge. That was your done deal.
That's interesting. I didn't really put two and two together with that.
They should have flashed their badge and just said, even though they had a different, the guy wouldn't have known from there. But really, in real life, back in the 70s, you would have flashed your badge and you would have continued. Yeah. So to me, you're absolutely right. The whole thing about the movie thing was like, that's stupid. You guys are actual cops. Why didn't you talk to this guy as an action? So that, from a writing standpoint, was way off wrong.
Right.
I mean, that to me was like, oh my gosh, come on. And then the whole thing of, the camera's way over there and all of that stuff.
What
was
lens
stupid.
is... That's what I kept thinking. I'm like, what lens? Does this production... is it just through the sniper scope? Like, there's no way. But going off of that, they stop so much.
Yeah.
Like the Italian guy stops to be with the lady, and then
let's talk about that. Yeah, right.
Catches up.
Right. So she's in, I can't remember what car she's in, but she catches up, and then he jumps into The Ferrari Spider, Daytona Spider, right?
Yeah. It's also called a 365.
Is it?
GTB. Yeah.
Totally
Anyway,
cool
yeah,
car.
I know what
Totally
you're talking
cool car. By the way, that was another car that was a big kit car. Was the Daytona Spider?
about. Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
It's
a very
not a
popular
very
kit car.
visually appealing Ferrari to me.
As a Ferrari goes, no, absolutely not. But it was cool at the time. I mean, it was very much accepted.
Yeah, I'm sure.
At the time, it was like, yeah, that's the cool Ferrari to have. But no, it's not visually appealing. It really looks like an old Corvette. It looks a lot
Yeah, I
like
could
an old
see that.
Corvette. So that was one of those that I was like, okay, well, they have that car in there. And then, of course, they have the Porsche.
Well, yeah, let's go through the car list.
Yeah, let's do that.
So first off, 1974 Ferrari Daytona, which we just talked about. I think the one in the movie, if I'm remembering correctly, had the solid headlights, but
I don't know.
a previous generation actually had pop-up headlights, and they look atrocious. They look terrible.
Huh.
Next up, my favorite car in the movie, honestly, not my favorite car in the movie, but I think the most iconic car in the movie is the 1966 Shelby Cobra 427.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely
real Shelby Cobra, because back in the 70s, they weren't that hard to find.
Yeah.
Now the market is saturated with kit cars.
Absolutely. That was the number one kit car. Yeah.
Seeing a real Cobra is impossible these days.
Yeah.
There's apparently one in Vegas. I think Jay Leno has one, and I think the Peterson has one. But like those are multi-million-dollar cars.
Yeah.
You will not see one at a car show unless it's Pebble Beach.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no one is driving these cars anymore. They've grown to this sort of level where they don't even get driven, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah. It was, though, I remember, the Lamborghini Countach and the Cobra.
Oh, yeah.
Were the two main kits for kit cars built.
Well, I've seen a million kit cars. There was that car show at our church one time, and there was a kit car there.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And they're good kit cars, by the way. Like, they're
fun.
Really good replicas, but,
They're very, very, and their joke was, I remember reading in one of the kit car magazines, the joke was like, this guy had done the worst possible sin, and that was like putting a small block V6 into a 427 Cobra. Anyway, so but go ahead. But so other cars.
So I really like that one. 1972 Chevy Camaro.
Yeah.
Forgettable car to me, honestly.
Yes.
I don't really have any interest in that sort of Camaro.
It was okay. I mean, if I could drive one of those today, I would. I think it's a really... I loved Camaros. I still love Camaros. I think they're really cool. But, it was a very forgettable one. And let's go back to the drivers of that one later. Okay?
Oh, yeah. That's Gary Busey's car.
Gary Busey's car.
And
so let's go back to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small just sort of interjection here.
Yeah.
The quarter scene at the toll booth pissed me off.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying.
They're breaking the law. Yeah. They're doing over 120 miles an hour.
Right.
Why stop at a toll booth?
Right.
Especially in the era where they didn't have cameras.
Yes.
They didn't have iPasses or anything that would catch you.
Right.
In that time, it wasn't an honor system, but it was kind of an honor system.
Yeah, in a way it was.
Because
except for the gate. There's a gate,
but what? The gate was made out of plastic or polyester.
They were made to be broken away in case someone.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
So like you're doing 120, just blow the gate.
Right, and very, very often there were police sitting there, which there was in this movie too. The police were sitting right there.
Yeah.
So you're right though. If you missed, first of all, why didn't Gary Busey's character hand the quarters to the guy driving so he could put them in the basket?
I don't know why he was trying to alley-oop them over the car.
Exactly.
Although he did say, I played basketball in high school or something.
Yes, and he missed. Yeah, and he missed.
And he missed twice.
And then the guy pulls away without him.
Yeah.
Which I was, kind of cheered inside my head when he did that. But then he immediately pulls over.
Yeah.
He immediately pulls over and the cop is right there and they get stopped. So,
also, he throws 2 quarters and says, "Hey, we're out of quarters."
Right.
This is like halfway through the movie. Are there no more toll booths?
Right.
They brought 50 cents for the toll booths.
Well, there's only the one toll booth that they talk about or that you see. So, yeah, I don't know. And
Yeah.
to me, that was a very annoying scene.
Yeah,
Very,
that
very
annoyed
annoying.
me.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. And more cars.
1971 Dodge Polaris police car.
Oh,
So that was the
okay.
police car.
Yeah.
Very
didn't-
much looked like a Diplomat. Very much
Yeah.
looked like a every
Monaco?
other Dodge.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monaco. I didn't really have any feelings about that car either.
Yeah, it was okay. It's interesting. It's what was it? A Polaris?
Polaris are those little souped up
Right,
golf carts that are
exactly.
for off road.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
the Polaris. Yeah.
I've never even heard of that. So
Neither
it's-
have I. My assumption would be it was one of those police fleet vehicles that they just sold to departments
right.
and
Gotcha.
or
Yep.
detectives or whatever.
Yep.
That would be much like the Caprice kind of was. Although there was the Caprice Classic and stuff that you could buy.
Yeah.
The modern day Caprice, I should say, because
Yeah.
there's a 2012 Chevy Caprice.
Is there?
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
only for police.
Oh.
There is no civilian version.
Huh.
So maybe it's
Right.
something like that. I don't know.
It could be.
My favorite car in the movie, just because I love these cars so much, 1969 Porsche 911 Targa.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a beautiful car. Yeah.
Love that car. I love those old air-cooled Porsches.
Yeah.
Those are great. And then the 1969 Rolls-Royce Shadow.
Yes.
Very interesting B plot in the movie.
Yeah.
The guy wants to go, finds an
Yeah.
ad in a newspaper of a
Right.
guy who wants his car moved from New York to
Right.
Los Angeles.
Right.
And then he kind of kidnaps his own girlfriend,
Pretty
sort of.
much. Pretty much. Again, the
And
whole
then-
kidnap thing.
Yeah,
going
lies to her about she'll
Yeah.
be a movie star.
Right.
Although it works out in the end.
It does, and to me, it's okay. I'm very annoyed by her character, because she's so annoying and just awful as a person. He's no better.
Right, yeah, he's bad
so
too.
he's a terrible person. She's a terrible person. Not that I have any room to talk or anything, but I'm just saying the character's really bad.
yeah.
And the part or the scene with her, and there's the bikers across the way. Another scene, very annoying to me. Very annoying.
Yeah, the bikers at the gas
bikers
station.
at the gas station, and she insists on going and getting a Coke or some sort of drink, soda pop.
I think it was a Coke, but yeah.
Yeah, and she's insisting on going back. Well, you can see the Harley bikers or the bikers across the street. She put herself into that situation.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
really
easily
stupid,
avoidable.
easily avoidable. And then they sat in the car and screamed. Why didn't they drive away?
Right.
And then it was the first time that the car gets scratched. you
Right.
know? And so you think, oh, that's terrible. But then later on in the movie, the dust storm hits the car.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, it was a
I
dust.
couldn't really
yeah,
tell.
a sandstorm. That they're in the
Okay.
middle of the desert.
Yeah.
So a sandstorm comes through, and it ruins the paint job on the car. Now, when they finally get the car to the owner, it's even worse than it was through the sandstorm.
Mm-hmm.
So what else happened to it, which they never show,
Right.
that made the car that bad? Plus the fact that, okay, so obviously beyond the fact that the bikers then, it's a stupid, illogical scene. She should have just gotten into the car and they could have driven away and no big deal. They're in a car. The other people are on bikes.
Yeah.
So then she starts leaning out the window with her suitcase and hitting them in the head. And then the bikers go through like the front of shops.
Right.
And I was
A lot
like,
of destruction in this movie.
a lot
more destruction
Yes.
than I would have thought.
Yes, there was a lot. So that little town paid for the fact that these morons coming through in a Rolls Royce,
Right.
that shouldn't have been going through there or whatever.
I
It's
totally
just-
forgot about the van that had the gas leak.
Yes,
The 200 gallon.
yes. That runs
200
into a
yeah.
fireworks company. It runs into a fireworks shop.
Which, actually, hold on.
Okay.
Let me pull out my calculator here.
Okay.
Because they said it was 2,900 miles, right?
Yeah. It was like 300 gallons, right?
They said 200 gallons.
Did they say 200? I thought it was 3, but okay, 200 gallons.
Okay,
That's
so
what I'm gonna go with.
the van would have to get 14.5 miles to the gallon.
That's pretty close.
But doing 120 miles an
yeah,
hour,
okay, never
there's
mind.
no way.
Okay, no. Our Dodge truck, what did it get, 9?
Yeah, I got about 9.
9 miles to the gallon, which is unbelievably bad. But okay, so the van, okay, wouldn't have made it. But then there's that whole scene with they run over a muffler and they get a
puncture.
A puncture.
And then someone throws a cigarette down.
Right.
And the fire trail catches up to them.
Well, and that can happen, but they're like going.
They're cooking
for several minutes.
Yeah.
They're driving, and that flame is slowly catching up to them. And then, of course, they jump out.
Right.
And they all three jump into a tiny area.
Oh,
right
yeah.
next to each other.
They,
like, you wouldn't do that in real life.
Unless they were all on the same side of the car.
Right.
So they obviously just jumped from out of frame.
Right. Let's just jump from out of frame into frame in this tiny little area about the size of, so like a 6 by 6 foot area. And that was completely like insane. Like, no, you would have all jumped in different directions. And it was supposed to be funny that the car had so much gas, or the van had so much gas that it blew up. And of course it ran into a fireworks store and all the fireworks went off. Okay, fine, whatever. But to me, I didn't find that amusing or even fun to watch. It's
another stunt that kind of baffled me.
Yeah.
Was the Rolls Royce rolling down the hill.
Yeah.
And it hits the truck at the end, right?
Yeah.
There's a guy in the bed of the truck.
Is there?
Yeah, and he jumps jumps up a little bit, and the truck gets nailed, and he falls to his knees and slams the bottom of the truck.
Really?
And I'm like, this is 76. There's no CGI.
Yeah.
There, you can't.
Yeah.
There was a dude that was just in the bed of a truck as a Rolls Royce hit it for the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't any sort of. He obviously wasn't claymation. So
no, that's right.
He wasn't Terminator 1. He wasn't Ed 2000 or 209.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Ed 209.
That's RoboCop.
That's RoboCop.
Yeah.
You're mixing.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm mixing all my 80s movies.
Yeah.
But there was a guy just in the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
And he gets hit by the Rolls Royce.
Yeah. So in that, yes, you're absolutely right, which is really, really awful. But in that too, they pull up the car to this guy who's obviously a movie producer, right?
Yeah.
And she gets out, and of course he's he wants her, and he asked her if she's a movie star or whatever, and it's supposed to turn out for her. But that was that whole thing was just made me feel really gross. I was like, wow, what a lech this guy is.
Oh, yeah. Such a Me Too moment these days.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Definitely a Harvey Weinstein type guy. Who didn't even notice that his Rolls Royce, or he noticed the Rolls Royce didn't have paint.
Yeah.
And he said, I was going to get it painted anyway.
Yeah, right.
And then, it was a creepy moment.
So, and what that alluded to was the fact that he was gonna do something to her basically by saying, "Yeah, come into my mansion."
Right. Yeah.
And she was more than willing to do that.
Yeah.
Which spoke for her character.
Yeah.
And then the other guy was just like, "Oh, I'm just going to leave her," and and the car goes down the hill, and it's supposed to be funny because whatever. And the poor guy is in the truck.
Yeah.
Okay. So what frustrates me about all of that is, okay, go off and do your thing, whatever. But then at the end of the movie, she is back with him, and they're both laughing and having a good time like nothing ever happened.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
So what was that all about? Like, is everything okay now?
Yeah.
Did she just do the movie producer? And then, but they're friends or something. I don't know. That just made no sense.
I didn't
whatsoever.
consider that. Yeah.
So let me talk about a character.
Okay.
Besides Gary Busey's character.
Okay.
Let me talk about a character that annoyed the bejeebies out of me.
Can we just pause 1 second?
Yeah,
Shout out Craig
sure.
Lieberman. I just want to get that out there. It was across my mind. He had nothing to do with this movie, but shout out Craig Lieberman.
Craig Lieberman.
Fast and
yes,
Furious,
we will,
automotive guy. Go on. So what
it's
character annoyed the crap out of you?
It's a tradition.
It is a tradition.
That Craig Lieberman shout out.
Shout out.
Craig? Is it?
Craig, yeah, Craig.
Lieberman.
Like episode 5, Dad. Come on.
So the character that really
Yeah.
annoyed me almost as much as Gary Busey's character. So I have to say, Gary Busey's character annoyed me the most out of any character in the entire movie.
Yeah, I don't know if I was really annoyed, but I'm like,
No,
this
I
guy's
was
just
annoyed, yeah.
dumb.
No, I was annoyed by his character. So, but the other one was the Hungarian on the motorcycle.
Interesting.
Yes.
Why?
The reason why his character annoyed me is because he had one look the entire movie. Okay, first of all, obviously he was insane, but his eyes were wide the entire movie. And he was and they would always play like this bam, 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 kind of like a silly circus music whenever they showed this guy in his eyes. And obviously he was supposed to be for more comic relief, but he went through the ringer with whatever motorcycle it was.
It was a Kawasaki something.
Yeah, it was a Kawasaki. But he he had a Kawasaki and he couldn't beat everybody. I mean, I would think that a Kawasaki would be pretty quick.
You'd think, but also, how big can his gas tank possibly be?
Yeah.
2 gallons?
Yeah, probably.
3?
I don't know.
I mean, like, that was the part that kind of bothered me about that character was like, why? There's no way this bike would be competing with cars.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
that's true,
carrying
too.
a high speed on a bike like that, not,
Well, it wasn't a Katana. It wasn't, it wasn't like a high, nowadays, it wasn't like a modern, although back in the late 80s, the Katana was a very, do you remember those bikes at all?
No, not really. The Katana?
I think it's.
Or are you thinking of the Hayabusa?
No, the Katanas.
Okay.
I believe it's a Katana.
The only reason I say that is because in Halo 3, there was an armor called the Hayabusa, and it had a katana on the back.
Oh, no. This was actually a motorcycle that was I rode on one.
Okay.
It was fast.
Yeah.
I mean, like blindingly. It was a racing motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So a racing motorcycle would have been the logical choice, but I don't think that was a racing motorcycle. But the problem was that the character was so extreme and so crazy and so out there and not funny that I just found it annoying.
And he showed up late.
Yeah,
he was super late to the ending.
Yeah, and his eyes were wide the entire movie. And that, for some reason, really, really annoyed me.
I was impressed with the butterfly scene, though, with him, where he's splattering all the butterflies.
Yeah.
Whatever
that
special
happen.
effects, whatever special effects, I don't know how they did that.
Yeah.
I thought that came out really good for the 70s.
I think...
Effects-wise.
Yes. From that, I think it was either cut out pieces of paper, like crepe paper, or... it could have been bow tie pasta. That's the other thing I was thinking of, because that's somewhat the same shape as those butterflies.
And then they just shot it at him.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, I think it was probably crepe paper that they shot some water in crepe paper, and that would have stuck. But yeah, that does happen where you run into a whole bunch of bugs and everything, and that's really awful.
Yeah, no, that happens in reil life. I know. Like I've had that happen and stuff. So,
but it's so that. And everything that he was going through was annoying to me. Really, really.
Yeah, you really don't like this guy.
Nah, I don't like this guy at all. The other one I don't like is the character that Gary Busey played. I have no problem with Gary Busey, but I do with this character. He was freaking annoying.
Yeah.
Everything about him. His constant hooting and hollering, his whistle. He carried a whistle everywhere. Was that a rape whistle or something? What is that? That was like a whistle that he constantly blew at people, and then he would like yell and all of this stuff, and then play the harmonica. And
he wasn't a likable character.
Not at all.
He was definitely not a likable character,
No.
but I don't think he made me as mad as you.
I was very, very upset with that character, and very, very annoyed with the character. And then, as part of that, think about this: who was his co-pilot? Who was the guy driving with him?
I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. You don't remember.
I don't remember.
But here's the part that's interesting: the guy who was driving with him was supposed to be a stunt driver. They show him driving in a stunt show.
He was like the magnificent
Yes.
whatever. Like that, he had that trailer.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
At the beginning of the movie.
So he was supposed to be this amazing stunt driver. Now, they never show him doing any stunts or driving spectacularly in the car. That was a total waste from a writing standpoint. They should have had him do some sort of cool stunts, like put the car on two wheels. But they had Gary Busey doing the car on two wheels. That was insanely stupid.
Well, wait, but in the very beginning of the movie, there's the stunt driver putting the car on two wheels.
Yes.
But it was Gary Busey that did
Gary
it?
Busey is the one in California when they when they get to that point, he puts the car on two wheels and shows off to this other guy. So Gary Busey's character was supposed to be the mechanic for this stunt driver. But Gary Busey's character got all of the lines, got everything.
He's one of top build.
attention.
He was one of the top build actors because that's why I pulled his name, because
exactly.
I just go whoever was top build.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good point. I totally forgot about the stunt driver.
Stunt driver was completely just became 0-0. Another thing that annoyed me.
Yeah. The list keeps getting longer.
So the other one was the two women.
Yeah, you really don't like women.
That is not true. I just wanted to go on record that is not true. But when you had the woman who was kind of like the mom type, right?
Yeah.
And she's being picked up at the very beginning of the movie, and she tells her husband, who is out lounging by the pool, drinking a martini or some drink, and he's just like, it's just like he is just taking a handful of Quaaludes, right?
Yeah, so checked out.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And he's like, yeah, whatever, and he goes, my wife, it's like she's planning for some long safari. Not just and so, like, he doesn't care. They've got kids. So she's like an average mom type, right?
Right.
So then I'm not sure how she would have ever gotten into this lifestyle of driving in the Gumball Rally. Okay? So that didn't make any sense to me. Then she's picked up by her friend who at one point, I think in Oklahoma, tells these really rowdy boys
in like a Camaro or something.
Camaro, that if they can catch her, they can have her, right?
And then they have engine issues?
And then they have engine issues.
Yeah.
And so the boys catch up with her, and later on in the movie, you see the two women again driving, and the one woman is talking to the other woman, the mom, let's call her the mom. I don't even remember the characters' names.
I don't remember any character names.
I know.
Like at all.
So right, I don't either. So the mom is talking to her friend, and she says, "Oh, you're not going." Well, the friend is saying, "You're not going to talk to me about this," and she goes, and then the mom goes, "Yeah, you went with that boy," and the one friend goes, "Well, it was love at first sight," and she goes, "Yeah, but you went out into the field, and sometimes a girl just can't find a place to do it or whatever." And then if you watch the movie carefully, you can almost see that actress start to cry. It's really weird, and it's almost like that actually happened. And then I thought, wait a minute, this other woman is married. Like, what happened with the other guy? Did the other guy approach her?
Yeah. Did they just sit and talk? Or?
Right. Did they do something? And if they did, that's really horrible. She was cheating on her husband, wife, and kids. So, that whole thing did not register.
And also,
well with
the
me.
guy fixed their car?
Yes. He said
where did they find the time?
A Porsche mechanic.
Yeah. And because working on an air-cooled engine is very different than working on a regular
I'm sure.
engine.
I'm sure. I have not, but I'm sure that
Not harder, but just different. So the fact of finding someone with both skill sets is interesting to have them just roll up on you like that.
Because she does say, "Oh, but he fixed our engine. He fixed the engine." So that whole thing was like, that made me feel terrible. That was like that made me feel awful.
This is why I said last episode, I think the most heavily researched car film so far has been the movie Cars.
Yeah.
Because,
I agree. Yeah.
The fact that they were driving a Porsche 911, like there's certain things that come with that because it's air cooled, because it's rear engined.
Yeah.
And all this stuff that like I feel like just producers never really thought of.
Oh, there's a lot of things that they didn't think of. And there were things like there was the race at the very end. There was the race down into the riverbed.
The Los Angeles River.
Angeles, right. So there was
Shout out Terminator 2.
Right, exactly. Actually what I was thinking when I was watching the movie. But I was like, okay, so like no cops, when they went by the construction crew didn't like call the police and go.
Yeah, everyone just kind of stares at him and goes like equivalent of like, oh, those pesky boys. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And that's why like you wouldn't have had a police helicopter. Well, okay. And another character in this movie.
You could just say you don't like any of the characters. I mean, you keep like you just discovered another one.
It reminds me that detective lieutenant, whoever, the cop who's trying to follow them, that was constantly supposed to be, he's doing something and he bumbles through it and someone takes his pants, and which that was all bizarre that someone stole his pants.
I
in New York.
thought that scene was going to go way more south. That was weird and creepy and uncomfortable.
It was. And I thought, okay, if this guy's a detective or something, wouldn't have he had, especially in New York, wouldn't he have had, not that it's anything about New York, but wouldn't he have had his weapon on him? Wouldn't he have just gone, I'm a cop.
Yeah, he literally got mugged.
He got mugged.
And they never followed up on it.
No.
They never got the guy. Like, they're just like, that's New York.
Well, that's what the New York cop says. Basically, he goes, "That's New York," and then the flasher comes up.
You cross the Brooklyn Bridge, you get a slice, and you get your pants stolen. Welcome to New York. I mean, that's the New York starter pack. Yeah.
No, that is exactly right, and that's why I was like going, "Oh my gosh, that doesn't, that offends me personally." Anyway, and then the cop tries all these different things to catch up with the guys. So he tries roadblocks, and he tries catching them with a helicopter. Now I have to say, whoever did the helicopter stunts was amazing. He flew so low.
Yeah.
And so many of those, I mean, he was flying really close to
again at a time of you did that stuff for real. All that stuff had to be real.
All practicals.
I mean, this is mid 70s. There's no CGI for that.
There's basically two things to think about for those people who don't know what CGI is and practicals. So CGI is computer graphics or computer generated images.
Yeah.
So that's CGI, and that's basically in a computer. You can create anything you want in a
Think
computer.
of the movie Transformers. All of the robots in those movies are CGI.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry. Which is a movie I would love to get to at some point soon.
Well, that's true. They are cars, kind of ish.
Well, yeah, they're all cars.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
There's a whole, all three of the movies, huge GM sponsorships.
Oh, okay.
So they changed all of the characters from the original Transformers to be GM products.
Yeah.
Bumblebee was always a Volkswagen Bug. And then just randomly they're like, oh, yeah, hey, by the way, he's a Camaro now. Because we're launching the new Camaro the same year this movie's coming out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
so practicals and CGI.
So practicals are actual stunts. So it's actually a real person in a real car driving through a real wall. I mean, that is what a practical is. A lot of times in like a James Bond movie, they use practicals. So when you see a car going over a jump, it's an actual car going over a jump. in this movie, so the helicopters were flying for real, like really close to telephone lines and other cars and things, and cars. But I found it really funny and interesting that it was the Cobra, I believe, that pulls away from the helicopter, and the helicopter pilot says, "Yeah, we can't catch up with them. Even our fixed wing airplanes couldn't catch up with them," which actually is true because there are some. There are limits. People think that helicopters and
I do have a trivia thing about that.
Okay, well, interesting. Okay,
yeah, it ties into that idea. But go on.
Okay, so I just thought that was interesting, and then at the later on, he tries to do a roadblock, but they're doing the speed limit. They're doing 55, which goes against what they said they were going to do. But they're doing 55, and they're getting through.
But they had catalytic converters at that point too.
Did they?
No, I don't know. They stopped
probably
and installed them.
They probably did, and that was all fine and good. Interesting. Okay, so another annoying character. So another
survey says you were annoyed by a lot of characters in this movie.
I was Raul Julia, his Italian character.
Yeah.
Very, very much stereotype. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a bad thing. And his obvious, betting all of these women, which was like you said, he went and was messing around with this woman and then caught up.
Like in the morning, by the way.
In the
he
morning.
left in the night and came back in the morning.
How slow was the guy driving?
Yeah.
In the Daytona, the Daytona Spider. How slow was he driving so that the other car could catch up to it? That didn't obviously make any sense at all. Same thing with all the people that stopped along the way. There was way too much time. And then the thing is that the Cobra, who's the main lead person in the movie, don't know the character's name again.
Yeah, he was like a businessman.
I
would say he's the main character, though.
Yes, he is. Definitely.
Yeah.
But he is driving, and he's a half hour faster than his last run, which was a record-breaking run. So he is actually on track to break his record. Now remember that. The Daytona Spider pulls up next to him. So how is that even possible that the two of them would have been doing the same amount of time,
Yeah.
and would have, even though they didn't start exactly at the same time, that doesn't make any sense at all either. Now, obviously, it was a comedy movie, but still, that, was one thing. And that character with going after all the women, and the one woman drives into a gas station and immediately falls for him. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
it's
that
totally
doesn't
not going to
really
happen. I thought she was going to be a plant. I thought she was going to be the one that the other teams were going to get to slow them down. They were going to have her flirt with the Italian guy. So that, again, was annoying to me, that whole thing. It just...
Yeah, I mean, you're really upset with this movie. The ending was unsatisfying.
Yes. Very much
unsatisfying.
So. Very much so.
The cop gets their cars towed.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so... Okay.
But what I wanted to talk about, is what I slowly started to realize is I think that this is... I'm going to let you get a drink of water there.
Okay, thanks.
I think this is just a bad topic for a movie.
Well,
because here's the thing. Here's what I say.
Okay.
First of all, if you're going to be doing a race across the U.S., there's very little available time for character development in the beginning. Everyone got like 2 to 3 minutes, not even. Yeah. Everyone got like 30 seconds to be like, oh, this guy's a stunt driver. Okay.
Right.
Oh, this guy's, these are two cops. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of it is to not stop.
Right.
And so you're only going to have these scenes in the car.
Right.
An actual Cannonball Run
Yeah.
is not eventful.
Really?
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
You're trying to make the best time, so you're not stopping and you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Like, the most eventful moments are when you pull up to a gas stop and you fill up the tanks again. And you're trying to make the best time, and excuse me.
So
like, you know, the plot of the movie, the Cannonball Run, the Gumball Rally, I'm starting to realize just doesn't offer. I was thinking, what if it was a TV series?
Right.
So you have 2 episodes, so a full hour, let's say, or 40 minutes of full character development before they get on the road. You let people have almost an hour with these characters before they drive across the country. So you can actually learn to care about these people.
Right.
And then, you know, let's say it's just a 10-episode run. 8 episodes, like the next 6 or 7 episodes are on the road with these people.
Right.
And then the last episode is the finale. They cross the finish line or whatever.
Yeah. That's a much better way to do it. In fact, I was going to ask you, because I don't know of any recent, I don't know if you've heard of or know of any recent movies. Obviously, you know, Fast and Furious is race cars on the road, blah, blah, blah. But none that I know of that are cross-country that are like the Cannonball Run or are like...
it's not really... I could think of, like, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, okay.
Due Date, which is essentially Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but with different actors.
Okay.
Zach Galifianakis and Robert Downey Jr.
Gotcha. All right, yeah.
There's road trip across the country movies, but there's no... The issue is racing across the country, so you can't have these moments in these towns for character development.
So
the character development is the guy holds the steering wheel as he goes across the country.
Well, and that is why exactly I was going to ask you that question is, okay, since there isn't one, if you were making one, you know, like a modern one, you've already answered the question. If you're making a modern one, you'd probably do it as a series.
Netflix miniseries. Buy my idea, Netflix.
Exactly. Do a Netflix miniseries on doing this, and you're right, because in a miniseries, you can absolutely develop characters way more. Look at like a movie or a series like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or anything like that, where you can develop the characters way more than any movie.
There is, man, I don't know the name of it. There is an anime that is a race across the country.
Oh.
It's like almost like a steampunk, though. It's not like cars. It's like steampunk vehicles.
Yeah.
Very anime, where, like, you know, the vehicles are like the size of houses, but it's driven by one guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it's much more realistic than Gary Busey. So let's
100%,
just put,
yeah. But I remember I watched an episode with Adam Mattenstein, and so that was a more modern anime of it. But besides that, I can't really think of any modern interpretations.
I don't think that there are. I mean, right now, I don't. You're absolutely right. I have never seen the anime, but I was thinking about that too, and going, okay, if I were going to do this movie, what would I do, or how would I make it better? Because I'm absolutely certain that you could do this again, but you could, especially with pacing and all of that stuff, because this movie, a 70s movie, did not have very quick pacing.
No, I don't think any movie from the 70s did.
Well, maybe Bullet. I mean, that's like that was, you know,
Bullet,
French Connection, Bullet, stuff like that.
But the original Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah. Really?
Slow movie.
Longest 60 seconds of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
should have called it Gone in an Hour 10.
And I actually would like to watch that movie, but to me, it would be more character development, so that as you, like you said, as you actually went through the race, you could see people develop an arc. You can see the character's arc, and you would get to know and have your favorite characters, and you would have
your team. You would associate with your team.
Exactly. You would associate.
Neither of these movies allowed enough time for me to actually sort of feel a connection to the team, besides the Cobra team, just because I liked watching the Cobra.
Right. Exactly.
But that was just based. Like I said, I couldn't even tell you the name.
Well,
name of the guy who drove it or the other guy who was in it.
I know. Well, and think about it too, from a standpoint of even if you had a series. Let's say you had a series, and you spent like an entire first episode getting to know the people. Okay, that's only about 40 to 60 minutes maximum. That's like 40 minutes or so.
Right.
Maybe 46. Okay.
Which is half of this movie.
Right. So you could spend that time, and then even if you had, let's say it's about a 46-minute episode, 50 minutes just to round it out. So 50 minutes. Even if you had a series of, let's say, 13, or let's do it less, let's do 6. You're talking only about less than 6 hours of the entire race you're covering. That is pretty realistic.
Right.
That you could cover a lot of detail during this race, and the different character arcs between the different characters throughout the race. Much more could happen to each of the drivers in each of the situations. But again, you'd have that time to develop those and show that, and it would still be less time, because 36, 40 hours or so to go from coast to coast, you're still doing it in less time. So in one series, you could do one race basically across, and you'd have plenty of time to have people actually get involved. And you could do the cliffhangers easily. You could do cliffhangers where, and again, we want total rights to this, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, this is all copyrighted.
It's all copyrighted.
Yeah.
2021, thank you very much. That's not an actual copyright.
No, that's legal. That's legally binding. So
that's legal. So
unless you're a lawyer, and then it's not.
That's right. Or anyone with any legal,
Yeah.
But you could do that, and then you could, I was going to say, we could do an entire race. But, again, you'd have plenty of time to do all this stuff. I'm not sure. I was gonna go a different route, but I totally forgot that too.
You want to get into trivia then?
Yeah, let's get into trivia.
I only have 4.
Okay, that's
very
good.
short
Okay,
trivia.
yeah.
This wasn't really a big blockbuster movie.
No, it wasn't. No.
But starting off with what you're talking about with the helicopters.
Yeah.
They wanted a shot of the Ferrari speedometer, but the helicopter couldn't keep up. So they finally got the shot by mounting the camera to the Cobra, because the Cobra could keep up.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Wait, so the Cobra could keep up with the helicopter, but the...
No, could keep up with the Ferrari. The helicopter couldn't keep up with the Ferrari. So they put the camera onto the AC Cobra, because it was a real AC Cobra.
Gotcha.
And got the shot that way, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I love the idea of them being on set and being like, hey, man, we got this big block V8 Cobra.
Yeah.
Just shove the camera on that thing and run it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So, the helicopter couldn't keep up.
So I just want to mention that.
Yeah.
2 Ferrari Daytonas were used in the movie. The main car, and they had a backup. The serial numbers were 14829 and 16467. Chassis 14829 was at the Peterson Auto Museum until August of 2013. So we didn't see it, unfortunately.
Okay.
We went in 18. But
right.
Shout out Peterson Auto Museum.
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
Place in Los Angeles.
Yes, love that place.
And was also once owned by Mel Blanc. I don't know if you know who that is.
Mel Blanc, yeah.
It seems like an actor or something. The other chassis 164...
Wait, Mel Blanc.
Mel Blanc.
Isn't he the one who did all the cartoon character voices, Mel Blanc?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I think so.
I
think that was,
The other chassis, 16467, also appeared in the film A Star is Born in 1976. So it was in another movie that year, which is interesting.
Yeah, with Robert Redford, I think, and Barbra Streisand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every car in the race had one or more CB rally lights mounted to its nose. These were always covered, so the logo was visible. Probably a sponsorship, those rally lights that they had. Which I was like, sponsorship? I started looking them up. I think I'm going to get a set for my RX-7. I love the look of them. They're so period correct.
Ding, we need them as a sponsor, yeah.
Which they don't even have a website. So they must have gone out of business a long time ago. But I found a set on eBay for like $160, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
that'd be cool to mount.
That would be
mount
cool.
the little. I want the little square fog lights. What you had on your RX-7.
That
I
was
want
cool.
those on mine.
I
want to make mine like kind of period correct.
Yes, that was a cool thing to have on mine. But yeah.
Last bit of trivia, and then I think we're ready to wrap up. Shorter episode, just
yeah.
Not a whole lot to talk about with this one, honestly.
Besides me going on about
this
how
is just
much I hated it.
the Gary hate podcast. There were 2 Cobras used in the filming of the movie.
All right.
The main car and backup, and the serial numbers were CSX 32255 and CSX 3243. Which I just want to note that Cobras are so rare.
Yeah.
And so sought after that they literally have the exact serial numbers of the cars that were used in the filming.
That's a good point.
I mean, that's
good point.
that's I haven't found that for any other car.
Yeah.
For any other movie. So the fact that they had that for the Cobra and the Daytona is pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, so before we get to the next movie, I do want to, I want to do my own wrap.
Yeah, go for it. All you.
Terrible disappointment. I want my hour and whatever minutes back.
You were really disappointed.
I was really.
You were really disappointed.
I was. I haven't. This is to be honest with you. I know we haven't been in all of the history of all of our podcasts. I've never not liked a movie. I've always liked every movie. Really enjoyed it. And really got into it. This one, no, I do not like this movie at all. And I was very disappointed in it. And I was very much, I just kept feeling so like, it was a chore.
This really took the wind out of your sails.
It did. It absolutely
really,
did.
Truly.
It did.
To a point that I haven't seen.
I almost told you not to watch it. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't.
I'm glad too because honestly,
I know you
if you're
it.
Like, hey, you need to watch Cannonball Run again, or you have to watch the Gumball Rally again.
Okay.
I might pick the Gumball Rally.
Yeah.
I really liked it better than Cannonball.
I understand.
I'm
that.
also noticing just now something that's pissing me off.
Okay.
I'm looking at the cover of the Gumball Rally.
Oh, here we go again. Yeah. A different car?
None of the cars are the correct color on the poster.
No, they're not. You're right. None of them.
In the movie, the Cobra's red. Or in the movie, the Cobra's blue. On the poster, it's red. The Ferrari here is pink.
Yeah, it's not
when it's red in the movie, which could have been a printing issue.
Right.
Okay, this Porsche is orange when it's black in the movie. The Rolls Royce is blue on the poster when it's brown in the movie.
Complete.
I mean, the only one that's right is the police car.
The artist might have been colorblind.
Like, I don't know.
That is pretty disappointing. Disappointing to me in all levels, in all stages. Completely disappointing. And there are probably going to be people that are like, you are a moron, and that's fine. Everyone has their own right to feel a certain way about a movie, but my gosh.
This is really going on your hate list.
This is one that I don't know. And it's going to be interesting when we get to the point of watching Cannonball Run 2.
Right, which apparently might be in the near future.
Maybe.
We'll see.
And Cannonball Run 3.
Speed Zone.
Speed Zone. Which I think... Oh, but one other thing I wanted to mention about this movie. Okay. Gumball is one word.
Yes.
They show Gumball being spelled 2 different ways. And the guy who's in the motorcycle, the Hungarian motorcycle driver, he has a patch that says Gum Space Ball Rally. It's not 2 words. It's one word. I'm a word person, so...
Also,
So that annoyed me.
Did they say why it was called the Gumball Rally?
No.
I don't remember.
No.
Also...
But he did work for a confectionery company. The company he had was like a chocolate, and they showed the thing. Yeah.
But something that kind of upset me about the movie was that Gumball, the word Gumball, held this weight to everyone in the movie. Because at the end, he like whispers Gumball to this guy, and then they're all like Gumball. And they all start moving towards the cars, all like mumbling Gumball like zombies.
Yeah.
we were never really told what it meant. Like, I guess it was like that meant the race.
Right.
But like, no one does that. No one just says like, "Oh, Gumball." Like, I don't go up to like my RX-7 friends. I don't just say Mazda, and then we all just hum Mazda back to each other and walk to our cars. Like, that's like some weird cult stuff.
It would have been nice to have some frame of reference for that reference of the word Gumball. And it annoyed me that they showed it in several different ways, spelled differently. Well,
that's
two
just
words
continuity.
Yeah, but it's also wrong. So like gumball is one word.
Yeah.
So if it was gum and then ball, anyway, whatever. I'm not even going to get that far into it. But that was one thing that did
something we should add to the podcast.
Yeah.
Our closing thought. Would you watch it again?
That is a great idea.
I think we should start gauging.
Yeah,
so let's go back. Blues Brothers, you'd watch again.
Absolutely. And a heartbeat every single day.
Fast and Furious?
Fast and Furious, I'd watch it again.
Yeah, I'd watch it again.
Yeah.
Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run?
That's it. I don't know.
I know. I would watch it again if you paid me.
Like, if it was
hard
on
to say.
TV, I would continue working and not change the channel.
Right.
But like, so what?
So that's a good identifier. Would you change the channel?
Okay.
So would you watch it?
Would you change the channel?
Would you watch it? Would you change the channel?
If you were the dog home alone, would you try to chew on the remote in a certain way to change the current?
Right.
I would not watch Cannonball Run again.
You wouldn't?
No, I'm teetering in the middle, very hardcore.
Yeah.
But because I'm such a busy individual with work and job and life.
Exactly. I'm not. I just sit around.
You're worthless. But
thank you. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Thank you, son.
Thanks for not making me pay rent here.
So
I don't see myself cutting out time in my life to sit down and watch that movie again.
Okay, that's
so Cannonball
totally
Run,
fair.
no.
Totally
Cars,
fair.
yes.
Wait. So Cars, yes. I would
Cars,
watch. Yes. Absolutely, I'd watch that again and again. Definitely not a. Yeah. Would you change the channel? I guess is the thing.
Yeah.
And
would you change the channel?
So for Cars, no. Blues Brothers, no.
Fast and Furious,
Fast and Furious, no.
Cannonball Run, yes.
Run, yeah, I think I would too. I think I would too. I think I would too.
Now that I say it, I think I would.
I would change the channel just because there's got to be something else on.
Yeah.
Honestly, there would.
Yeah.
This movie, absolutely.
You would shoot the TV with a 44 Magnum.
I would change that channel
you
so
would move
fast.
Houses. From what it sounds like, you get a realtor in the door and be like, "Hey, I need to get out of here." She'd be like, "Why? The foundation's solid." Be like,
"No,
there's a movie on TV I cannot handle."
And actually, that's true because I don't know how to work the remote anymore because it used to be in my day that you had one button to change it.
The day I get married, I'm gonna there's always the groomsmen suite and stuff where you get ready. I'm gonna have this movie on.
No,
so you can recite The Godfather.
No.
And be like, on the day of my son's wedding, you know.
You make me watch this movie
on the day of my son's wedding.
On the day of my son's wedding.
I guess it's his daughter's wedding in Godfather, but whatever.
Fine, but same idea.
Yeah,
but
just so we could parody that. I'm gonna force you to do it. So I would change the channel.
I would change the channel.
I didn't find this movie that good. I liked it better than Cannonball.
You would change the channel though for this movie? Or
I think so. It wasn't interesting enough. I'm saying it's better than Cannonball. But
that's the thing. That's interesting. Yeah, right.
I mean, that's like comparing
heart surgery to kidney surgery. That's like they're both surgeries.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something else that I hate. It's like, I don't know. I can't even think of anything. But it's just like two different levels of bad, but one's just slightly less bad.
Yes.
One of them's in the 7th ring of hell. One of them's in the 6th ring of hell.
Okay, so there is
layer or whatever.
I don't know what. Yeah, so
so there it is, the Gumball Rally. Shorter
Rally.
episode because I couldn't find much trivia, and honestly, we don't have.
No,
this didn't really strike a chord with either of us. So
this is not like a feel-good movie. And I would watch it again, kind of thing. I was more annoyed.
Yeah, I know. It was a chore. Are you ready for the next movie?
Okay, I am ready for the next movie.
You have no idea.
Have I seen it?
Have I seen it? I think so.
Okay, all right.
We'll talk about it in a second.
So let's, Do
you have any guesses?
I'm going to guess. Okay, my first guess would be Herbie the Love Bug.
Okay.
And
strong guess.
Is it? I would say
Strong doesn't mean good. Just
that's a viable guess,
yeah,
I guess.
it was a guess that was made.
Okay, that's great.
That's a better terminology.
Okay, so I'll have another guess. I'm going to guess Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Well, I've seen that movie, so
yeah. So here's the
thing. All
thing.
right, so I'm not going to guess.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to guess this movie.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you've seen it.
Okay.
This was not. So I got this at Disc Replay, our local used
Disc
DVD
Replay,
store.
Yeah.
The other night.
Good.
I did not go in with the intention of buying this movie, but this is the only movie I could
Stealing
find.
it? Is that you're going to steal it?
No, this is the only movie it was kind of hard. Well, okay, I also went in 15 minutes before closing.
So
I was like literally just scanning the shelves.
Just take anything off the shelf.
I was looking for Who Killed the Electric Car. Not an
yes,
easy movie to find.
No.
I didn't realize how small and independent that film was.
Yeah.
And it's on Amazon for like $11.
So okay.
We're
well,
chill on that one.
Yeah.
That is something I'd want to do. But are you ready?
I am ready. Go ahead.
I have it wrapped up in a t-shirt.
It's wrapped
you legit you have no idea what this is.
I legit have absolutely no idea.
Shing! Red Line. Do you remember this movie? It's called Red Line. Red Line. The bigger the risk, the faster the rush. Hot cars and hotter women.
So,
so here's the thing.
What?
Came out in 2007.
Okay.
I'm 99% sure it was you who took us to see this movie in the theater.
Probably was. Because I am a horrible father.
Well,
and
it was a car movie, and in 2007 I was 10.
Yeah,
Nick would have been 12 or 13, depending on...
Red Line. Okay.
So, yeah, Nick would have been 12. I would have been 10. Or probably 9.
But
honestly.
It looks like Too Fast, Too Furious.
It looks like Too Fast, Too Furious. So I can read the back here. On the streets of Los Angeles and Las Vegas, daredevil drivers race the world's most exotic cars for millions, for $1 million bets.
Okay.
But as the stakes rise, so does the danger, from deadly crashes to kidnapping and murder. Only the fast survive. Jeez, I'm illiterate.
With
the adrenaline pumping action and some of the rarest, most expensive high-performance vehicles ever raced and obliterated on film, Red Line roars into high gear and doesn't let off the gas until the final explosive rush.
So,
that was the worst thing ever. So the reason I picked this movie
all right.
is that I remember going to the theater when I was a kid, and I believe it was you who took me.
Okay. Could have been your other father. You know that.
That's true. And
no, he doesn't have another father.
No, that I know of. There was a preview before the movie.
Yeah.
Something about like jar heads or something.
Oh.
Do you remember this?
I actually do remember that.
So
it
was
bizarre.
CGI, but it was an actual guy, and they put his head into like this square vice mold, and his head became a cube.
Yeah, that is vaguely familiar. Why is that?
So I remember it was like a preview or an ad before the movie. It scared the living crap out of me as a kid.
See, then my job as a father was done.
I was 9 years old.
My job as a father was done. Yeah.
So, that being said, I don't remember a single scene of this movie.
I don't remember
because I was
movie at all.
freaking out over one of the previews, and I don't remember even seeing much. I remember the Enzo Ferrari, which is on the cover here.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember the red Ferrari, and I remember some like white beach house.
Okay.
That's it.
I was probably too busy with my popcorn, just enjoying the popcorn, than watching, because I don't remember anything about that movie at all, which is funny because we just talked about the fact that we just reviewed a movie that neither one of us had seen.
Right.
This is technically a movie that we've both seen that we don't remember. Neither one of us remembers.
This is like we watched this like when we were blacked out or something. Like we have no recollection of this movie, although historically, allegedly, as the story goes, we've both seen it.
Yes, exactly. So that's going to be interesting.
I'm interested to see what comes back to us.
Yeah.
If there's moments of nostalgia or anything like that.
Yeah,
but that's our next movie is Red Line. I want to choose some B movie like you made me watch. Hopefully this one doesn't disappoint you as much. God.
Well, and then next time too, we're gonna have some new equipment to mess around with. So we're
last one
excited
with
about
my
it.
last crappy mic. So,
and actually, yeah,
enjoy
we do
the
have,
sound quality
we do
next
have
time.
the new the Shure SM75s, or not 75s, 50 something, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I may. What time is it now? I may actually watch that tonight.
Go for it. I got work I got to finish tonight, but
I have nothing. I'm a slacker. So
no, you just actually have real job hours. My hours are
true.
Hey, there's something that's undone. Spend the rest of your life finishing it.
Forever.
Yeah, I don't clock in or out. It's just am I not eating or drinking? Oh, I'm working. Am I not with my girlfriend? Oh, then I'm working.
And that is the way
and
it should be.
sometimes when I'm with my girlfriend, I am working too.
Son, welcome to life.
I mean, yeah. It's super fun being a sole proprietor.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know. Yes, literally, I have banker's hours now. But
oh yeah, super fun. But I'm trying to see here.
I might just do that. That sounds.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see.
But I'd probably have to watch it again. But
one interesting thing about this Redline movie I saw on the back.
Yes.
Daniel Sadek, who directed it or something,
yeah.
Presents a Chicago Pictures production.
Really?
So I don't know if it's a Chicago production team.
Okay, well that would be interesting to know.
Yeah.
You know, we can.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
I don't recognize a single other name in here, so.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't.
do recognize a Z06 Corvette here on the back, which I have reviewed.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think that's the only car in here that I've reviewed, but.
Yes.
Actually, I think it might be a ZR1 because it has that hood intake. But anyway.
So next time, then, we're going to do Redline, but then I'm going to choose.
Then, you get to choose the next episode. For those of you who don't know, we alternate who chooses the movie back and forth, and we always surprise each other.
Yes.
Should have mentioned that earlier if you're new to the show. But, you're not going to choose Cannonball Run 2.
I'm not going to choose Cannonball Run 2.
Do we need a break from coast-to-coast racing?
Maybe.
I think we do. Because I was thinking about it today when I was working, and I was like, are we really going to... Because then Cannonball Run 2, and then Speed Zone,
right.
and then if we throw Smokey and the Bandit in there, it's just too many road trips.
Yeah, there's a lot of road trip movies. I'm gonna do something different.
Okay.
Not sure what yet.
Okay.
And we'll find out for the next one. But definitely,
you'll surprise me.
Yeah, I'll definitely surprise you. It could be. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be any coast-to-coast trip movie. It's not going to be anything like that.
I think this soured you from trying to go off the beaten path of movies.
It has. I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could tell.
Yeah.
It was very
I don't know if you can tell by the last however minutes we've been doing this.
An hour and 22 minutes of me being disappointed.
Yeah.
Me disappointed in my movie.
Check in next time with the Disappointment Podcast. Disappointment on Wheels is the new name.
I guess. I don't know. So, no. It's
wow, this really struck a chord with you. I'm really impressed.
So we'll see how
Redline, we'll see if Redline just absolutely drops the ball on that. I mean, just look at how cheesy that is.
Yeah, it looks cheesy. It looks great.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it's
more
entertaining.
This will be a real popcorn stuffer. But
yes.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to this episode. The Gumball Rally.
Yep.
Oh man. All right. All right. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Catch you next time.